But with this, viewers, let's move on. And today, since it's Friday, it's going to be buy now, sell now, Paathshaala day as well. So let's go across to Kunal Bothra, who is live with us in the studios to share today's learnings with us. A very good morning, Kunal, and very interesting name on the screen. Take us through what exactly is this?
Well, yes, good morning. Last week during the Diwali session, we were discussing a lot of stocks. And I was, mentioning this indicator, stochastic oscillator, time and again. So I thought, why not, do a session of what the implications are and what the basic reading and observation is in terms of the strategies from stochastic oscillator. So we look at few charts over here and how the stochastic oscillator generally helps to find stocks when they come back into deep oversold territories or they end a corrective phase for themselves. So we look at the first chart, which is SRF, and how the stock on the longer term basis. So you can see the charts over here for SRF. The stock over the last 2.5 or 3 years has been into an absolutely tight trading range. So when you look at this on the longer term charts, yes, it's almost like a 20 to 25% trading range, but then that pans out over the span of almost 3 years to tends to give you a range when the stock comes back into an oversold territory in terms of the indicator 3.5 odd years for the stock price. And you see, in a classical manner, the stochastic oscillator does, and from where the stock can actually come back into a process of a bounce or a recovery mode. So as you can see from the previous bands for stochastic oscillator, that when the oscillator comes back into this territory of 10 to 20 odd points, that's where the stock manages to form a bottom for itself, and we see the stock slowly and steadily gaining pace and starting off a series of uptrend over here. We saw the similar stance for stochastic oscillator when the stock formed a bottom over here, and what started off was a process of a very slow gradual recovery, but something which lasted for at least 7 to 8 weeks or 2 to 3 months in a nutshell for the stock price. And similar was the case in 2021-22 as well, when the stock formed a similar bottom in terms of stochastic oscillator. So this is a classical indicator which tells, which gives an indication that when the stock comes back into an oversold territory, and what could be the good contrarian points for traders who are looking to add or accumulate further. The only point which we have to remember over here is that this oscillator generally works very well when the stock is into a range. So we ideally find stocks when they come back into a trading range, and then within the trading range, whether it's short term, medium term, long term, we try to find stocks when they come back into an oversold territory. We look at one more example, something which very recently has popped up on the chart in terms of a very similar kind of a stance on the indicators, and that's a chart for Havells. As we can see that the stock in the previous stance, whenever the indicators had come back into an oversold territory, the stock in a process of the next 1 to 2 weeks goes into a process of a bottom formation, and then a gradual recovery starts off for the stock price. Similar was the case in 2022 end when the stock formed a bottom. There was a very gradual recovery, almost like a 10 to 15% recovery for the stock. And interestingly, so far the stock has come back into a very similar kind of a trend over here. So recently the stock has corrected from almost 2100 levels to 1500 mark approximately, which means current levels could be a good point where traders could look to accumulate, as well as the indicators are extremely oversold.
All right, then thanks Kunal for that roundup coming in. So stochastic oscillator is what we were looking at, and we were simplifying complex technicals. That was your weekly dose coming in on this particular edition of Paathshaala as well. Time for a very quick breather on the show. When we come back, we'll take a look at all of your queries. So keep writing to us and see you on the other side of the break.